Coach, hey, thanks for joining me today on this Simple Coach to Coach interview. Appreciate you taking the time. Glad we were able to sort out our scheduling conflicts. Hey, just so you know, you are very present in my mind, or at least your program is. Because yesterday during the snow, and I didn't feel like working, I came up with a mock draft where I randomized the 2023 Division III tournament bracket.
Okay.
And I just sort of pulled literally out of a hat your opening game in my bracket, in the one that I wish for.
Yeah.
You would have opened up with Colorado College at Colorado College.
Okay.
So that would have been. And then, obviously, all the teams are randomized. So
yeah,
I just thought I would say that because I got a kick out of doing it for no other reason than giving myself some laughs. But
nice.
Thank you. Thanks for joining me again. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much as well for having me here.
All right, Coach. Hey, you're like 3 years old. You know, this year, what, third? Did I read that right? Third or fourth year?
Yeah, I'm going into my third year would be in June.
June, nice. Maybe could you just start by talking about your soccer journey? How did you end up in Elmira, New York?
That's a very good question. Obviously, before I start, I'd love to thank you for this opportunity to kind of chat about soccer. That's something that I guess we both enjoy. Yeah. So so obviously the way I got to Elmira is it was a long journey. I actually started at Bethany College, where I played for 4 years. And then after that, I became a grad assistant in 2015. So I graduated in 14, and I became a grad assistant. At the time, I was still looking to play at the next level. And so I was kind of juggling that. I was a student assistant in 2015. And then I was playing with a semi-pro team in Pittsburgh, 4-pit regiment. Mm-hmm. And I played there for 3 years. And then after that, I was still coaching. And I did my grad assistance at Bethany College. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I moved to Pittsburgh. And then I was coaching there, ODP. I was doing clubs for different clubs as well, like Arsenal. I did some for Beedling, and then obviously the ODP as well. And at the same time, I was still playing. And then after that, I had a chance to go to Indy 11. I played there with the Indy 11 NPSL, and I was invited to train with the first team. They were in the NASL at the moment. Yeah. And so I was looking for a pro contract. They were very good. They won everything in the NASL, so it was very difficult. But I had the experience to train with the first team. After that, I had a few injuries, and then after that, I went back to Pittsburgh, and I had the opportunity to go back to coaching at the college level with Washington and Jefferson College.
Oh yeah.
And so I had the opportunity there because I was familiar with Ian. He gave me the opportunity, and then after that, it was a good project. I was very excited, and I felt like I could bring something different to the program and help program get to a different level. So we went there, and we ended up winning the conference in 2019, if I have good memory. So 2019, we won the conference, and we made it to the NCAA tournament. We lost in the first round against John Carroll. And then after that, the second year was the COVID year.
Yep.
That year as well, we ended up winning the conference, but we didn't go to the NCAA because it was canceled. So we won it 2 years in a row. At that time, I was kind of questioning myself. Hey, I feel like I can move on and do something for my own, build my own program. So I felt like I was ready. But I was still looking around to get more opportunities. I had a few opportunities, but Elmira was when I came and visited the campus. It was very nice. It was beautiful, and I felt like I can do something here at Elmira.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I I came to Elmira College.
Yeah. Were you, I always ask this of relatively new guys, were you like hired with a purpose? Sometimes they're just like, we just need somebody to coach a team. Other times they're like, look, we want to put in your case, Elmira on the map, and whoever we bring in, we expect them to build a program that is going to get somewhere. Does that make sense?
That's very, very hard to know. It's
Mm-hmm.
because it's a good question. Obviously, I came in as a young coach and never been a head coach. I
Mm-hmm.
came in, I applied to the job. I had no connection to the institution. I
Mm-hmm.
guess they felt like I was the right fit because obviously before I came, they didn't have a head coach for like a whole year due to COVID and all of that stuff. So everything was kind of like upside down. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So as a
Yeah.
young coach coming here, I I I mean I have no experience of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
When I came to the office, I sat down the first day. I was like, where do I start? I say, what should I do? I say, should I do recruiting in June, right? And then should I should I didn't know where to start,
Yeah.
right? So, which is I was kind of used to that because moving here from Guinea, I moved to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
English not my first language. I spoke French,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of being in that environment where I'm not familiar,
Yeah.
everything is new, and then kind of adjusting to that. So I kind of utilize all of those skills that I had, and to kind of I'm learning and I'm doing this. I'm gonna go ahead and do whatever I can to kind of see what happens. And then after that, I started finding out. And once the season started, the funny thing, it went 2 3 weeks later. Our umpire 8 emailed me, "Hey, you've not been filling out your cards, like your cautions." I'm like, I
Uh-huh.
don't know what to do. I didn't know I had to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so that's how it was.
That's awesome. All right, so I have to ask you because it's calling my name. It
Okay.
is literally I hear it in the background saying calling my name. Simple coach, ask about me. That wonderful, beautiful looking stadium over your shoulder. What is that?
Oh, that's actually our new stadium. Since we typically play on grass, we have a very nice grass field on
Uh,
campus field. So we decided to upgrade our field to go to artificial.
mm-hmm.
So that this project is actually this gonna start in March 1st, if that makes sense.
Wow. I will make sure to put something there that talks about it because that looks wonderful. That looks I only reason why I have an obsession with it is because my alma mater, the University of Mount Union, plays in a football stadium.
Okay.
And I've been saying for years, like, hey, if we want to be anything in the future,
Mm-hmm.
like you have to have your own you have to have at least some semblance of your own stadium and not play in a football stadium with a track and yeah
Yeah.
so
Yes.
I'm keen on that. I'll even send it to my friends at Mount Union to be like, look, Elmira's doing it, right? Um, hey,
Yeah. Just
so with 3 years, how has it been as your first head coaching job? Is it what you expected? Is it harder, easier? Tell me.
it's it's been a lot of excuse me, a lot of learning experience. It's been, to be honest, I didn't know how it's going to be, but I felt like I was ready to kind of run my own program to set something up because I had a
Mm-hmm.
vision on how I wanted my team to play and
Mm-hmm.
how what sort of mentality as a
Mm-hmm.
footballer when I was as a footballer when I played, the mentality that I have as every coach, there's you kind of see the game certain way and you like
Mm-hmm.
to impose that sort of style
Yeah.
of play. And it's been, I mean, it's been very, very it's been like a learning experience because the first 2 years I got here, we didn't even make playoffs, right? So I wanted to kind of insert my own culture. The culture that I found here wasn't something that I could relate to. For me, it wasn't competitive enough. Maybe it's because due to the COVID year, some players left. So when I came here the first day, I got in touch with every single player on the team. And then because I heard some of the kids were looking to leave and all of that sort of stuff. And unfortunately, I contacted many of them. A lot of them ended up leaving. So then I ended up with, uh, decent amount of guys, but we had at least 13 seniors on the team. Okay. And then we kind of started working on the way we want to play, and we went with that. So we know we wanted to play a different style of football than they used to in the past. Putting the ball on the ground and playing against anybody you play against, not being afraid to make mistakes. So we went ahead and kind of inserted that mentality into the guys. Necessarily, you would not get the same result that you want, obviously, with those players that you have at the moment. But we went on with that, and we had a very nice season. We competed until the last day to try to make the playoffs, and then unfortunately we didn't. And then we went on off season. We started working, and then I started using my connections. I started traveling. Obviously, I have a lot of connections locally, domestically and overseas as well. So I started going out, and as a young coach, I was working every single day. People used to say, "I go home, go home." I say, "Well, I haven't done anything here, so why would I go home?"
That's great. Hey, all right, because I'm looking. So anytime you see me look up, I'm not ignoring you. I'm actually looking at your roster, and
Okay.
I noticed that you do have a lot of kids from overseas.
Yeah.
Like, are these and they're all relatively young.
Yeah.
So are you like consciously going again through your connections trying to find kids that might be from overseas that would be interested in playing soccer in the US?
Typically I had some friends that I played with and some connections. They obviously are overseas, but again, being a program that is looking to develop is very hard to compete locally with the likes of I would say Cortland that are here that have very good programs.
Oneonta, that's not
Oneonta,
good. Yeah.
Rockport, and
Rockport. Oh
St.
yeah.
John Fisher, all of those guys. So
Good
it's
luck.
very difficult to get little domestic kids
Yeah.
over here. So and I wanted to play a specific sort of style of play. So that's the only reason I wanted to go to
Right.
certain places to kind of get those players that I think would fit.
Right. Are you? What's your class? Your incoming class look like so far? Is it more? I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm just. Is it more kids from overseas that you've managed to bring around, or are you finding ways to start to get the local kids who might be interested somewhere else?
We're looking to find ways to get domestic kids. To be fair, I want domestic kids as well.
Yeah.
If you look at, I
Yeah.
always, as a young coach, I always look at the most successful teams at the Division 3 level, and they're successful for a reason. So I want those kids as well. So now I'm looking to find ways to try to get domestic kids as much as I can. But it's still a little bit difficult. But I would say relatively the incoming class might be 50-50.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How far along are you to getting your team to play the way you want it to play?
Okay.
You're in the hot seat, man. I'm like,
that's a very hard question. It's a tricky question.
Yeah.
So far, I think the guys that I had this year, knowing that my roster, the guys that basically competed in our last game or this past season, the guys that helped us win the conference. I mean, everybody was involved. Obviously,
Right.
I would say the main guys, the guys who started the most, who played most minutes, were freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
So we had, like, for example, our last game we had like four or five freshmen starting.
Yeah.
So it's, I would say, maybe another a year or two,
Uh-huh.
just trying to get really the guys that I want, the mentality and order, because the way we play is very specific in terms of when we lose the ball, we don't sit back. We don't want to
Yep.
sit back. We would like to high press and make
Yep.
it very intense for the opposition.
Yep.
And at the same time, when we win the ball, we want to possess,
Yeah.
regardless of who we play against. So
Yep.
in order to achieve that, it takes a lot. It takes a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why I asked. Like, if you're only in 3 years, how far along, right? Like, we
Yeah.
generally find it takes multitude of years to get to a point where at least you know that the kids you're bringing in you can incorporate into a system that is already established, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like a playing style that's already established, that the guys who are there know it down cold. This is how we play, and it's sort of part of their DNA. And you know,
Yeah.
so that's why I was asking. So that's interesting that you said it's such young guys, because I'm curious. You went to the NCAAs on the back of winning your conference tournament,
Yeah.
on the backs of a very young squad.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how you thought your season went. Like, are you ecstatic at how much you accomplished, making it to the NCAAs?
So after the first year, I told you we didn't make playoffs, and then the second year we brought in, we wanted to strengthen as well.
Yep.
And then that second year, we felt like we were the top three teams in the conference. We had Medai in our conference, very good program, and we were the only team that beat Medai that year.
Yeah.
Right? They were undefeated. We beat them at their place. So that kind of told us in the middle of the conference play, say, maybe we can do something, right? But having young guys, you have to do a lot to kind of keep them humble,
Yeah.
okay? And know that, hey, look, yes, we can do this and do this and do that, but we have to be realistic, right? We have no experience. So we fought, and then last year, we didn't make playoffs as well, right? So it was a big disappointment for the guys. And then they went back and worked very, very hard. And then this year we came into preseason. To be honest, our goal was to make playoffs.
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
If we made playoffs, I told
That's it.
myself as a coach, I'm like, I'll be very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
clearly not an easy feat, let's be honest, right? What was
Yeah.
it, the top 4?
Yeah,
Or
this year.
6? Or
Yeah,
4?
this year it was the top 6.
Top 6, okay.
Yeah.
And you beat St. John Fisher in the final, which is, you know, that takes talent. Like, you can't, you're not going to get to a game like that and win it in PKs without having something there on your team. You just can't make it up along the way, right? Like, so you're obviously doing something right. I do have to ask you, as a guy in New Jersey, I'll just ask you about that NCAA tournament. How ecstatic, psyched were your guys to play in the NCAAs?
I mean, to be the first guys in the history of the school to go at the NCAA tournament and the soccer program. I mean, the guys were
Really?
very
Okay. Wow.
they were very excited. And the thing is, obviously, I would say I didn't even get the chance to kind of enjoy the whole week before we played that game after we won the conference, because I was taking my USSF B course in Kansas. So after the final on Saturday, Sunday I flew to Kansas. I was there for 4 days.
Wow.
I came back on Thursday. Thanks to my assistant.
Yeah.
We planned the session on Zoom and then told them this is what I want to do. This is what I want to work on after watching the film on Montclair State.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back on Thursday night. Friday morning we had to go and New Jersey.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dang, B license. They better double your pay for having to put up with that.
I know.
So I'm going to ask you. This is an interesting question because this is what these are the sorts of thoughts that come in my head. I don't know if that's a good thing, but my soccer therapist says I got to work these things out. So you lost to Montclair, which there's no shame to, because right, like, oh my gosh, I had the Player of the Year, Amir Lukovic, who could put goals in wherever he wants to, from wherever he wants to. How much of a difference do you think when you watch that game, or when you watch the game, how much of a difference did you think there was between you and your program where it is now and Montclair, which is, let's just say, it's rarefied air? Like they're up there. They're up in the
To be honest, before we played Montclair State, I watched the film. I mean, the coach has done like tremendous job up there. To be able to compete and win that conference, and I mean, go to wherever they went. To losing, I think to Connecticut College.
Connecticut College, is it?
Yeah. So I mean, that's massive. So well done to all the coaching staff up there.
Yeah.
So looking at, there's one thing I've done since I was an assistant coach at Washington and Jeff.
Yeah.
I always go back and watch those games. Even if we lose, we get knocked out, I always then go watch the semifinals, the finals, and what I do, I try to look at the players that they have, so to help myself learn how to recruit and to kind of gain that sort of talent as well.
Yeah.
But I think this year, I would say when we played them, the difference, like you said, was Lukovic.
Yeah.
I mean, we were. I mean, we weren't afraid. I told them from my past experience when I was in WNJ, I said, when you play in the first round of the NCAA, most of the time you'll face a high ranked team.
Yeah.
And the first 10, 15 minutes are very, very crucial.
Yeah.
They're gonna come, they're gonna hammer you. It's up to you to resist. If you don't, then you're done.
It's very true, though.
That's what I told him. That's what I told my guys. I said, well, now it's up to you guys. Whatever you want to do. But I thought the guys were. I thought we were very close because we had a decent amount of possession. And I think we should have equalized in the second half where we missed. And the center back deflected the ball, and the keeper wasn't even in goal. So I thought we're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah.
That to me is like, you're not going to. The other thing I always say is you're not going to get anywhere in soccer if you avoid playing teams of the caliber of Montclair State, right? Like you have to be able to go through those teams.
Yeah.
Whether they're comfortable, uncomfortable. If you want to be considered. If you want to get to that next level, those are the teams you got to get up against and be like, yeah, we're gonna play these guys, toe to toe, and see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'll just ask broadly, like, sort of, what surprised you so far by the team, by your team, by maybe the receptivity of the guys to want to come along with you and start playing in a different way? It's sort of general. Good question.
I think when I came, I told you I had 13 seniors.
Yeah.
They've been together for 4 years, obviously.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to have guys that were very disciplined and they wanted to have fun. That was the first thing. And I told them, look, I'm fairly young. I don't know much what I'm doing as a head coach, so you gotta bear with me. we're gonna figure things out.
At least
So
you're honest. I
yeah,
talk to a lot of guys who are like, "No, I know everything." Okay,
yeah.
like okay,
So
good for
I was
you.
always told that, look, if you don't know, just tell your guys you don't, tell people
Yeah,
you don't know, and they
yeah,
will respect you even more
yeah.
from that. So, and the guys, they really to begin with, they really trusted me from the
Mm-hmm.
get go. I mean, from there, and I told them, this is how I want you guys to play, and this is how we're gonna play, regardless of what happened. And they embraced everything from the get go,
Yeah.
right? I would say I had a little bit of, it took a little bit of time this year to kind of, um, to kind of get the guys all bought in, because we
Mm-hmm.
have freshmen and sophomores in the lineup, and
Yeah.
typically, you know how that works.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
have younger kids, it takes a long time to get them all
Oh yeah.
together.
Yeah. Yeah.
But once he clicked, all everybody bought in. I think everything starting to go very, very smooth
Mm-hmm.
when we got to the conference games.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. You're in like a multiple of interesting spots. Relatively new, young squad that's had some success, right? Like
Yeah,
and how do you build upon that? Because it sounds like you're not content with just middling along, right? You wanna make a mark. So
yeah,
that's the sort of thing I love thinking about, right? Because I'm big about building, right? Like just even in my private work life, it's about
yeah.
building, not about destroying. So how do you build a program? I always find it very intriguing. Um, was it what's been your biggest challenge so far?
Uh,
Maybe the cold of Elmira. I don't know, but maybe that's
yeah, yeah. I'm probably sitting here with two sweaters on.
um,
Yeah, I mean, I would say my that's a good question. The biggest challenge that I have so far, um, I mean, I would say is to try to get the guys that other teams around the conference or the
mm-hmm,
region have
mm-hmm,
into Almara,
mm-hmm,
right? Knowing that, look, from what we've done this past season, okay, if we get one, two, three, four players specifically in certain positions, I
mm-hmm,
think we can do a lot of good things,
mm-hmm,
right? So I would say is to still try to um, get those guys with the same mentality as our culture that we're building here
mm-hmm,
to be interested into the program.
mm-hmm.
Okay, I would
Yeah,
say that's one of the challenges that
yeah,
I'm facing. And then also the other one in terms of the team in general. Again, when you have a lot of new guys, it's very challenging to get them
all
all
together. Yeah,
together,
yeah,
especially when you have kids from all over the places. Like
yeah,
we have guys from Germany, we have
yeah.
guys from Switzerland, we have guys from Argentina, from Colombia. So that's a lot of
You just
yeah,
that's a hodgepodge. Like it'd be one thing if you're like they're all Europeans or they're all South Americans, but no, you just
yes,
complicated it even more.
yeah.
That's great. Hey, all right. This is you said you're from Kenya. Is that
From Guinea.
Guinea? Okay, I got to
Yes.
ask you something. And you have a lot of experience playing. I'm not gonna right like here in the U.S. Um and overseas. But is what what is the noticeable difference that you see between an American kid
Hmm.
player
Okay.
and a same kid from somewhere else, not the U.S.? Is there meaningful differences between two players equal talent
Hmm.
that what I end up seeing makes a difference for the kid, not the U.S. kid, that they have something that's like intangible? I'm wondering,
Okay.
do you see any? Do you experience any of that? Do you see any of that of the players? I know it's a little bit far afield from Elmira,
Yeah.
but it's again just sort of where.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely. I mean, I would say I could relate as well
Mm-hmm.
because I moved here playing and seeing the players that I grew up with, the kids that I've seen there. Obviously, I have my own academy as well, like a
Mm-hmm.
small kids
Mm-hmm.
that I have back home, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously coaching the kids here
Mm-hmm.
as well. And that's what I tell my guys all the time, right? So um, the what I seen is that I would say sometimes is the mentality a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for example, if you have a player back home the way I grew up when you're not playing, you're on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows that this is okay to be on the bench,
Mm-hmm.
and that you shouldn't compare yourself with
Mm-hmm.
somebody else who's playing ahead of you. You should compare yourself
Yeah.
to yourself,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is accepted there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no sort of pressure on, okay, you need to be up there. You everybody looking at you, okay, why are you not up there?
Yeah.
Right? So the mentality of growing up elsewhere and coming here is you're looking at a growth mindset
Yeah.
instead of, okay, I need the result now and I
Yeah.
need it right now. And then
Yeah.
not only you, it's not the kid's fault, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pressure is coming from on the outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say the
Parents, you can say it.
humbleness. Yeah,
You can say
yeah.
it.
So being very, very humble and kind
Yeah.
of knowing where you are and then working from there. Okay, of course,
Yeah.
you're not okay with where you are,
Mm-hmm.
but you can work to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
great point. That is a really interesting point because it is. I do think it's true that there, and you keep using the word humility. I think that's something that we don't have,
yeah,
and right, like we as in U.S. soccer players, I think they lack, and I know just in my own experiences, like you're not a good soccer player unless you're humble as all can be, right? And it
yeah,
is, and because today you might be on top of it all, you might be the best guy on the field. Tomorrow, you might not even be in the on the bench, right? Like you know,
exactly.
and so you have to have that humility, and I
You
don't
have
think
to have.
kids experiencing that. Okay,
Yeah, that's
so
yeah,
yeah, that's interesting. I might have you on again to talk about that because you know, everybody's got a solution,
yeah,
to, oh, this is how we become World Cup champs. And I keep saying it's deeper than just sort of putting out a
yeah.
winning team. And it's that much harder to do. Anyhow,
That's,
let me go back to Elmira. What are your plans for this spring?
this spring, it's pretty simple. You know, we told the guys we had a meeting after the season, and I told them all this is the past 2 years. I said my job is to bring guys who will come here and take your spot. And your job, I know it sounds very,
Oh,
right,
tough
yeah,
love, right
tough love.
there.
So my job is to bring guys who come down here and take your spot, and your job is to prove me wrong,
Yeah.
right? So obviously, with everything that we achieved and this past season, which wasn't expected,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yes, we've enjoyed it over the fall. Now, this is the time to start building for next season. We know that it's not going to get easier because we have two, two or three great teams that are joining our conference, which is Brockport, Geneseo, and then we have SUNY Poly.
SUNY Poly, yeah.
So that's not easy to compete with. But
Yeah.
that's what the game is made for.
Yeah.
If you're not competing like we talked
Yeah.
about it earlier against
Yeah.
top teams,
You
and
never get anywhere.
you're not gonna go anywhere
Yeah.
if that's your
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
always
it's
say, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no. There's I said I guess is to work hard and stay
Mm-hmm.
humble. And I always say that stay humble. Even if you feel like you're the best player, you
Yeah.
gotta take care of people around you. You gotta take
Yeah.
care of your teammates. Make sure they
Yeah.
enjoy playing next to you. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
just wanna keep on building our
Mm-hmm.
culture and our
Mm-hmm.
mentality. That's the plan, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Can I just ask you,
Hmm.
what is it about, or what is it currently about Elmira that you have a hard time? I don't know if that's the right word, but a tough time in getting kids who might be looking at Cortland and Brockport and Oneonta and why not Elmira? Is it something to do about? I hate to put you on the spot. Is it something about the school, or is it just sort of the history of Elmira soccer? I legitimately don't know.
I mean, that's a good question. Even me, I wonder because the campus is great. It's a very beautiful campus,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I'm looking at pictures. It's
Yeah, it's a
gorgeous.
very nice
Yeah.
campus, and a very good education as well.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know. Maybe it's in the past we're not consistently in the NCAA tournament in the
Mm-hmm.
past, but moving forward,
Yeah.
that's where we like to go every year, and
Yeah.
we've proven it. So I think maybe after another year of
Mm-hmm.
doing whatever we've done this year, hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think that would solidify our credibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
winning always fixes things, right? I
yeah,
mean this respectfully to your alma mater, but if Bethany could have some rockin' soccer teams that it had in the late 80s,
yeah,
early 90s,
yeah,
any school can have a national championship caliber team. I
yeah,
mean that respectfully to Bethany, but
yeah,
you're in the middle of West Virginia, or it's
yeah,
like Messiah, same thing, right?
yeah, yeah,
These are schools that great schools. Don't get me wrong, but they're not your prototypical school that kids would think about, right? To go to school,
right,
it's got to be a purpose, and I think the soccer makes that purpose. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
it,
Well, hopefully that changes. That's
yeah,
our
yeah,
that's
yeah.
our that's our goal.
Well, silly as it is, like that post-season conference tournament is now a big deal, right? That's
Yeah,
almost like table stakes, like you got to be in that party if you want to get invited to the bigger party, right? The
yeah,
after party, which is the NCAA tournament. And if you're not even there, I know I talk to kids who are like that's just a club team, or like that's their mentality. I don't think it's
yeah,
right, but
yeah.
that's their mentality, and I think that's something that's real. Like you have to get there. You have to
You
get
have to,
there.
you have to. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And look, you won it, right? Just by default. Hey, we made it and we won it. So at that
yeah.
point, anything happens. So
Exactly, exactly, and that's what we talk about as a group here in Elmira. We
mm-hmm.
in the beginning of the season, that's one thing we learned from our experience from
Mm-hmm.
last season was that the guys were very humble,
Mm-hmm.
right? You'll see, a freshman here and there talking about, okay, I want to win everything. I
Yeah,
like your enthusiasm,
yeah,
but we got to be a little bit realistic.
yeah,
So credit to the older guys who always, almost like when they hear something like that, they say, hey, look, last year we said we're good, we can do this, we can do that, but guess what?
yeah,
Everything still has to be played.
yeah,
And we
yeah,
let's just make it to playoffs,
yeah.
and then whatever happens there is bonus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. That's everything else after that's gravy, right? Like,
Yeah.
all right. So that beautiful picture in behind you is that going in the same spot as your current field?
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool. Cause you're right next, like you're right on campus. Like
Right on
that's got,
campus.
yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that building in there is right next to the library, actually.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
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 Wow,
Yeah.
that's really cool. Anyhow, um, all right, Coach. This was fantastic. I really enjoyed connecting. Glad we were able to figure out the schedule to get you on. We'll definitely have you on in the summertime. I'll be cheering for you guys from afar. Well, not that far in New Jersey, and I will definitely have to get up there. I have to get up to Rochester at some point in the next
Yes.
month or
Yes.
so. I'm always looking for pit stops along the way. Elmira might have to be it. So
Thank you very much for having me here. And this just talking to you, talking to you, soccer. It was a very good experience, and obviously, hopefully we can meet in person one day.
Definitely.
And I really appreciate everything.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Ciao.